How to evaluate layer 1, undervalued or overvalued. Have you ever come across a crypto project, especially a layer 1 network, that's not getting much media attention but secretly has a huge user base? Or the opposite, a project that's all the rage but only has a handful of active users? Well, one of them might be undervalued and the other overvalued. But how do you tell the difference? Hello everyone. Welcome back to Mr. So Crypto's educational podcast, the go-to spot for crypto enthusiasts who like to think outside the box. Here, we don't just discuss which coins are rising or falling, but also how to think, how to analyze, and of course, how to survive in this brutal market. In this episode, we'll have a casual yet in-depth discussion about how to evaluate layer 1 networks in the crypto world. Why layer 1? Because it's the foundation. In the real world, layer 1 is like a country, where various applications and protocols are built, interact, and even compete for users. But the question is, how do we know which layer 1 networks are still undervalued and which are already overpriced? Is looking at the token price enough? Or is there other data that's more honest? In this episode, we'll thoroughly dissect 4 smart ways to evaluate them. Starting from the market cap to TVL ratio, daily user trends, to the odd law called Metcalfe's law, and of course, the strength of the ecosystem. So, grab your coffee or tea, sit back, and let's dive into this exciting discussion, because after this episode, you might start seeing some layer 1 projects in a different light, and maybe you'll discover hidden treasures lurking behind those boring charts. If you're ready, let's move on to Chapter 1. Chapter 1, Market Cap versus TVL, the secret ratio that is often overlooked. All right, let's start with the most technical but very useful ratio, market cap to TVL. For those of you who are still unfamiliar with this, don't worry, I'll explain it in simple terms. Imagine you are valuing a property. For example, there is a luxurious house that looks very expensive from the outside, but upon closer inspection, it turns out it's only rented out once a week. That could be a sign that its price is too high or overvalued. In the crypto world, the principle is similar. Market cap is like the house price, the total value of all tokens from the project multiplied by the market price. Meanwhile, TVL, total value locked, is like the usage rate of the house, how many people are actually using the network, in terms of funds they lock, stake, or transact. Now imagine a chain with a market cap of $5 billion, but a TVL of only 200 million. The market cap to TVL ratio is 25. What does that mean? Well, the network might be severely overvalued. Many people are buying the tokens, but very few are actually using the network. It's like all hype, but no substance. On the other hand, if you see a chain with a market cap of 500 million but a TVL of 800 million, a ratio of less than 1, that's interesting. It means many people are using the network, a lot of funds are locked, but the token price hasn't caught up with that reality yet. This could be a sign that the chain is undervalued. A real-world example in the crypto space? Back in the early days, many people liked to compare Ethereum with new chains like Phantom or Avalanche. Phantom once had a TVL that was huge compared to its market cap. Many people were using it, but the token price hadn't skyrocketed yet. Some sharp-eyed investors jumped in, and boom, the FTM price soared because the market finally realized there was real value there. But be cautious. A low ratio doesn't always automatically mean it's good. Sometimes TVL is high due to large incentives, airdrops, farming rewards, and the like. So, you also need to be discerning. Is the incoming capital organic, or just because it's paid to stay? Additional tip, you can use sites like Defilama or Token Terminal to quickly check the market cap to TVL ratio. They have continuously updated data and can help you compare across chains in seconds. Use the TVL versus market cap filter. Then look for ratios, one that have been stable for several weeks. And one more important thing, compare with historical data. Don't just look at today's numbers. Is TVL rising steadily but the token price stuck? Or vice versa, the token price keeps rising but TVL is stagnant? Such gaps are important clues to determine whether a project is being driven by hype or is being ignored by the market. Conclusion of this chapter? Don't just look at the token price on CoinMarketCap. Use deeper metrics like the market cap/TVL ratio. A low ratio can be an early warning sign that a project is undervalued. But remember, this is just one indicator. We need more than one signal to make a decision. In the crypto world, a combination of signals is far stronger than a single data point. All right, let's move on to discussing daily user growth in Chapter 2. Chapter 2, Daily User Growth, the lifeblood of a network. If you've ever heard the phrase, the user is king, then in the crypto world, users aren't just kings, they're also the people, the army, and even the lifeblood of a layer, one network. No matter how impressive the white paper is, how much VC funding is poured in, or how bold the branding is, if no one uses the network, it's just a lonely digital project existing only in the developer's imagination. That's why the number of daily active users, DAU, is one of the most important metrics for assessing the value of a layer, one network. Think of it this way. You have a huge mall with air conditioning, elevators, and a food court, but only 3 people come in every day. The mall still loses money, right? Same thing. A chain that isn't used, no matter how advanced its technology, will ultimately lose out to a chain that's actually busy. Why is this metric so important? Because users create activity. Activity creates transactions. Transactions create fees. Fees create revenue. Revenue keeps the chain sustainable, which attracts developers and investors. It's a snowball effect. A single simple metric, the number of daily active users, can indicate the long-term health of a chain. An example? Look at Ethereum. Why does it remain expensive despite being often criticized as slow and costly? Because people keep using it. Ethereum's DAU can reach hundreds of thousands or even millions of users daily. And that's not because they're forced to or given airdrops. It's because it's genuinely needed. Compare that to chains that went viral but saw their DAU plummet once incentives ended. There are plenty of examples. In the early days, many chains used the give money to get used strategy. Airdrops, farming rewards, staking rewards. But once the rewards stopped, users fled. This is a clear sign that the user base wasn't organic. What's the tip? Monitor daily user growth through platforms like Token Terminal, Artemis, or Dune Analytics. You can view daily user graphs, new users, active users, and even breakdowns based on the most used applications. And here's another interesting point. Compare user growth with price movements. If you see a chain with a steadily increasing number of users, but the token price remains flat, this could be an opportunity. The market hasn't caught on yet, but fundamentally, the network is in good shape. But be careful not to be fooled by bots. Some chains with high DAU are actually filled with fake activity. How can you tell? Typically, the user count spikes sharply, but transactions aren't consistent. Or only 1 or 2 wallet addresses are highly active, while the rest are completely inactive. So make sure you also check other metrics like transaction volume and gas fees burned. The bottom line? Daily active users aren't just decorative numbers. They're vital indicators. If you're looking for an undervalued layer, 1, look for one with consistent user growth that hasn't yet been followed by a price surge. This is a classic pattern. Users grow first, prices follow later. Use this data to see where the crowd is gathering. Because in crypto, where the users are, that's where value is created. Ready to move on to Chapter 3. Analysis using Metcalfe's law, the part that starts delving into network mathematics, but we'll still discuss it in a casual, coffee shop style. You can watch this video repeatedly until you truly understand it. Once you do, we'll move on to Chapter 3. Chapter 3, Metcalfe's Law. Networks are about numbers and connections. Okay, this time we're going to discuss something that sounds like a math formula for tech college students. But don't worry, this is really important for those of you who want to objectively evaluate a layer, one network, and have an edge in the market. It's called Metcalfe's Law. Let's start with the simple definition. The value of a network is directly proportional to the square of the number of its users. In fancy terms, if 100 people use the network, its value isn't just 100, but 100 squared. That's 10,000. Why? Because connections grow exponentially. Each user can interact with all other users. So the more users there are, the higher the potential for interaction. And the higher the interaction, the more valuable the network becomes. Let's analogize this to the real world. Imagine you have one phone. You can't contact anyone. Zero value. Now imagine 2 people have phones. They can send each other text messages. Value increases. If 10 people have phones, the number of communication combinations can reach the tens. What about 1 million people? Now you start to understand why WhatsApp or Telegram can become giants just with their user base, because Metcalfe's law applies there. The same thing happens in the blockchain world. A layer, one with a continuously growing user base, doesn't just grow linearly, but can grow exponentially, because interactions between users create additional value. A concrete example? Ethereum is once again the star here, not just because of the number of users, but because the connections between users and developers are extremely strong. Developers create applications, users use the applications, users bring in other users, developers see active users, then they create even more. This loop keeps spinning. Metcalfe's law can also help us detect undervaluation. For example, look at networks like Say or Barricade. If the number of active users is growing rapidly, but the market cap isn't keeping up, the chain might be undervalued based on Metcalfe's principle, especially if the growth is consistent and supported by an increasingly vibrant ecosystem. Practical ways to use Metcalfe's law. 1. Monitor the number of active users. This can be daily, weekly, or monthly. 2. Check the growth rate. If it's increasing quickly but the token price hasn't moved yet, opportunity. 3. Compare with other tokens. If Chain A has 100,000 users and its token price is $1, while Chain B has 200,000 users but its token is still 50 cents, Chain B might be undervalued, as long as all other variables are similar. But don't forget, Metcalfe's law is ideal. In the real world, there's a lot of noise. There are bots, fake users, farming whales, and all sorts of things. So you still need to verify with other metrics. For example, look at how many daily transactions there are, whether there's real on-chain volume, whether the apps within the chain are actually being used, or if they're just pretty facades. Is there a quick way to check this? Yes. Try combining data from Dune Analytics, Artemis, or Token Terminal. Look for user growth charts and compare them with market cap. If you're diligent, you can create your own ratio based on Metcalfe. For example, network value score equals market cap divided by active users caret 2. If the number gets smaller, it could be a sign of undervaluation. Conclusion. Metcalfe's law teaches us that value isn't just about the number of users, but about the connections between users. If you find a layer, one with a growing community, an increasingly complex ecosystem, and interconnected users, that means there's potential for much greater value than what's reflected in the current token price. And this is where the art of investing begins, seeing value before the market does. Next in Chapter 4, we'll discuss, look at the ecosystem. This section will teach you how a chain's ecosystem can be the most concrete indicator of its future. Chapter 4, look at the ecosystem. Many stores, many opportunities. Now imagine you come to a new shopping center. The building is big, clean, the elevators smell nice, and the escalators are all working. But once you enter, it's empty. There's only one cell phone store and one coffee booth. The rest is empty. That's roughly what layer 1 looks like when its ecosystem isn't yet filled. In the blockchain world, an ecosystem refers to everyone who has built and is operating on top of that network. From DeFi protocols, NFT marketplaces, bridges, dApps for gaming and social media, to developer tools. The more active and diverse the protocols, the more attractive the ecosystem becomes. Why? Because developers are a sign of trust. They won't bother building products on a network with no future. And users? They come because there's a place to hang out. It's like a mall. People don't come just for the building, but because there are many stores and the products are appealing. Simple example. Compare two chains. For example, Chain A has 100 active dApps. There are DXs, lending platforms, NFTs, games, SocialFi, and all have significant TVL. Chain B. Only 2 small DX protocols with low volume. Clearly, Chain A has stronger long-term potential. But don't just focus on numbers. Also consider quality. Having many protocols doesn't mean they're good if they're just copy-pasted from Uniswap or quick farming schemes to siphon liquidity. A checklist you can use to evaluate a layer 1 ecosystem. 1. Number of active dApps. Check using DeFi Llama, Coin98, or directly from the chain's official explorer. 2. TVL, total value locked. The more assets locked, the greater the trust from users and developers. 3. Diversity of use cases. Don't just focus on DeFi. Does the chain also have NFT applications, games, DAOs, or SocialFi? 4. Developer activity. This can be seen from GitHub commits, hackathon participation, the number of proposals in the governance forum, or updates from the core developers. 5. Compatibility. Chains that support EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine, or have developer-friendly SDKs are typically easier to attract new builders. Real-world examples of a strong ecosystem. Look at Arbitrum and Optimism. They started as Layer 2 solutions for Ethereum. But because their tools are developer-friendly and their communities are active, they've successfully attracted many new protocols. Even some major DeFi projects eventually moved there. The result? The ecosystem grew rapidly. TVL increased. And of course, the market took notice, and the token price soared. Or look at Solana. At first, many were skeptical because it frequently went down. But developers didn't give up. Now, the ecosystem is expanding, with anchor protocols, NFTs like MadLads, and many active games. Despite the technical challenges, the ecosystem keeps moving forward, so investors are still paying attention. Signs of a weak ecosystem. The number of protocols is stagnant or declining. Developer activity is minimal. TVL is shrinking despite many users, indicating no place to park funds. dApps being built are just forks, no innovation. Major projects are moving chains. How to check? Open defilama.com. View the chain list. Click 1, see the dApps running there. Check community updates on Discord or Twitter for each chain. Active developers equals positive. Use Token Terminal to view revenue and developer metrics. Conclusion. Don't just evaluate Layer 1 based on the token. Look at the ecosystem. Is it active? Is there real activity? Are developers bringing innovation, not just copying and pasting? The ecosystem is the foundation for the long term. If you find a chain with an ecosystem that's growing but has a small market valuation, it could be a hidden gem. And remember, in the blockchain world, a busy store can make a shopping center bustling. But an empty shopping center won't last long, no matter how crazy its branding is. Seeing value before the world does. Now you know that assessing whether a Layer 1 network is undervalued or overvalued isn't just a matter of guessing prices. It's about the ability to read the fundamentals, growth, and future direction. We've discussed everything from market cap to TVL ratios, daily user growth, Metcalfe's law, to the quality and vibrancy of the ecosystem. We're not talking about quick profits. We're talking about the sharpness to see what the market hasn't yet recognized. Because the truth is, the market often lags behind. But with this information, you can be the first to act. Remember, Layer 1 is like land. The token might be the price of the land. But the true value lies in who builds on it, who lives there, and how vibrant the life within it is. The more vibrant it is, the higher its value. And our role as investors is to find land that's still affordable but already starting to be developed. Don't just follow trends. Build your own framework for thinking. Because the best decisions don't come from hype, but from solid understanding. And before we wrap up this episode, let me remind you again, with the latest and freshest version, about our core principles in the crypto world. 5 important rules of Mr. So Crypto, Value Hunter Edition. 1. Buy because you understand, not because of FOMO. Never enter because you're afraid of missing out. Enter because you know why you're buying. 2. Value comes from the network, not just the price. Look for projects that grow from the community, users, and active developers. That's what lasts. 3. Don't get married to a coin. If it's no longer healthy, don't hold on to it. Moving on is a strategy, not betrayal. 4. Keep it simple but disciplined. No need for complicated strategies if you can't stick to them. What matters? Have a plan, execute it, and evaluate. 5. Always do your own research. Never trust your money 100% to anyone, including the voices on this podcast. Use this information as fuel for DYLR. Do your own research. If you feel this episode helped open your eyes to a new perspective on crypto network valuation, support this channel in the simplest way. Click subscribe, turn on notifications, and share your insights on Layer 1 projects you think are still undervalued today. Who knows? We might dissect them together in the next episode. And remember, in the crypto world, the winner isn't the fastest, but the most patient and the most knowledgeable. See you in the next episode with me, Mr. So Crypto. Stay sharp, stay chill, and always trust the data, not the drama. Victory hand.